Hey guys, it's Ari with White Oak Knits, and today I'm going to show you how to make the hickory shawl. Alright, so what we're going to need is 3 skeins of indigo quail Chanel jumbo yarn and our hands, and that's it. So we're going to do arm knitting today, and it's going to be a little bit different than what you may have done or may have seen in the past. Instead of actually putting the loops on our arms, we're going to lay everything nice and flat so that way we can create nice uniform stitches that are a little bit smaller than if we were to have them on our arms here. All right, so let's get started. So to start, we are going to make a slip knot, just your basic slip knot here. We're going to want to make it about, say, 4 finger widths. When we work the body of the shawl, we'll probably make it a little bit smaller, probably about 3 finger widths, but you want your starting chain to be a little bit looser. And actually, if you're a crocheter, which this pattern is totally doable for both crocheters and knitters, but to start, we're going to make our foundation chain very much like you would for crocheting, and then after that point, we're going to continue on more like a knitting stitch. So to make our foundation chain, we're going to start with our working yarn in the back. I'm going to slip your hand through the loop, grab the yarn, and pull up another loop. Again, about 4 finger width. Reach through, grab the yarn, pull through. And you're going to want to do that 40 times for the shawl. Now, for this video, I'm only going to do half the size, just so we can see everything a little bit clearer. But I will tell you the correct instructions for the full-size shawl. So 40 times, we're going to pull through. 2, 3, 4, 5. We got 5 here. All right, now once we have our foundation chain made, we're going to lay it out nice and flat. We'll make sure that our chain is not twisted. And you can see it kind of creates this nice little chain shape. And then we're going to grab our end loop here. We're going to kind of flip it so it's just laying up top here a little bit better. We're going to want to keep our working yarn towards the back and keep it towards the direction that we're going to work in. It just makes it a little easier, and you want to keep it kind of nice and loose. So to work the body now, we are going to take our hand through the next chain, and you can see here we got the yarn behind our little loops here. So stick your hand through, and we're going to pull up a loop. About 3, loosely 3 finger widths. We don't want to pull anything too tight here. We want to keep everything kind of nice and loose. And also too, when you're pulling up your loop, you want to make sure you're pulling from the working yarn side instead of the other side, because if not, you'll pull out your previous stitch. So continue again here, hand through the loop, pull up a loop, hand through, pull up. We're going to continue across here. All right. So now we're going to work back this way. Now, instead of knitting, we're going to do purl stitches. So we're going to make the shawl in a nice garter stitch. So instead of the yarn being behind our loops here for the knit stitches, we're going to keep our working yarn in the front, and we're going to go behind the loop here. So instead of going in through the top, we're going to go in through behind and pull up a loop. Okay, I'm going to do that again. So loop, come from behind, pull up a loop. And then for our next 2 loops here, we are going to decrease. So we're going to take the loop that's closest toward the edge, put it over the next loop, come in from behind, and pull up our next loop. Then we're going to continue across as normal, but coming from behind to create a purl stitch instead of a knit stitch. All right, so we're going to stop when we have 3 loops left, as we're going to go ahead and do another decrease. We're going to take the loop that's closest towards the edge, place it over the previous loop, come from the back, and pull up our loop. And our last stitch here, make sure the yarn's in front, come in from the back, and pull up your loop. Now do not forget to work your end loop here again when we go back across this way. So starting with the last stitch we actually just worked, we're going to do a knit row. So our yarn's going to come behind our loop. We're going to go in from the top and pull up another loop. Then we're going to make another decrease. So every row we're going to do a decrease. So our loop closest to the edge, place it over the top of the next stitch, come in from the top, grab our yarn, pull up a loop, and then continue across until we have 3 loops remaining. On our last 3, grab the loop closest to the edge, place it on top of the previous loop, come in from the top, pull up your knit stitch, and then our last one there. You can kind of give things a little bit of a soft tug if you need to even out your stitches here a little bit. All right, so coming back across, we're going to do a purl row. So we're going to take our yarn over the top of our loops here, come in through the back, and pull up a loop. Do our decrease again. And we continue on. Now I want to stop here and show you, when you're working on your stitches, they can kind of have a tendency to be wide here, like your yarn length in between. So again, you don't want to pull too tight here when you're making this stitch, but you also don't want it to be real loose in between the stitches, or else it's going to be too wonky here. So just kind of pay attention to your tension here. Again, you can kind of give it a little wiggle, little tug, and that'll help kind of see where you're at. Almost forgot the decrease. So again, take your loop closest to the edge, put it over the top of the next one, and see, I did a knit stitch. Come from the back and pull it, purl stitch, because we're on a purl row. And our purl. All right, and then we're going to keep going, alternating knit rows and purl rows, decreasing on each side with every row until we get down to 4 stitches left. Oh, another quick little note here. If you drop a stitch or the stitch comes undone like so, don't worry, you don't have to start all over. It's very easy just to rework it. So the one before that was a purl, so we need to do a knit. So just pull it back through. All right, so we're down to 4 stitches. So to finish up, all we're gonna do is, so we did a knit row last time, purl this next row here. So we're gonna purl 2 together and then purl 2 together. So we want the edge one over the top. And then I'm gonna knit our last 2 together. Cut our yarn. Tie it up and weave in our ends. There you have it. Now, if you'd like to make tassels for the 3 corners of our shawl, and to do that, I'm going to take our yarn, and I like to use a book so that we can get nice even tassels. So I just stole this one for my daughter. Take our yarn. We're going to wrap it around, I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times here, ending on the back side. And you don't want to wrap it too tightly. You want to keep it nice, kind of loose. And then we're going to take one side here. And we're going to cut the edges, pinch and pinch. I'm going to take a little bit of thinner yarn here. And so this is the side that is not cut. Fluff it out here a little bit. And trim up your ends here to make it a little neater. Just kind of going quick here. And then you can attach it like so. Pretend all those ends are nice and neat. And there you have it. That is the Hickory shawl. Thanks for tuning in, and I look forward to talking to you soon.